The Corinthian diplomatic vessel hummed with the low thrum of ion drives as it carved through the void between star systems. Lena Arwen sat in her assigned quarters, staring at the viewport where distant stars streaked past like frozen tears. 3 months into her assignment as humanity's cultural liaison, and the isolation gnawed at her bones. She hadn't expected it to feel like this. The Corinthians were gracious hosts, massive, leonine beings who moved with liquid grace despite their bulk. Their fur ranged from deep amber to silver white, and their eyes held ancient wisdom that made Lena feel like a child. But they were also reserved, formal, bound by protocols that kept interaction at arm's length. "Personal log, day 97, she whispered to her recorder. "I understand the mission's importance. First human to live among the Corinthians, building bridges between our species. But God, I miss ... contact. Touch. Someone who just wants to sit close without a diplomatic agenda." She hadn't meant for anyone to hear that last part. But Corinthian hearing was exceptional. The next morning, Lena woke to warmth. Not the regulated temperature of her quarters, but living, breathing, furry warmth. Something heavy pressed against her left side. Something else draped across her legs. A third weight pinned her right arm. Her eyes snapped open. Cubs, Corinthian cubs to be precise. 7 of them, ranging from the size of large dogs to small ponies, all fast asleep and tangled around her like a living blanket. Their chests rose and fell in synchronized breathing, producing a collective purr that vibrated through her entire body. A small russet-furred face lifted at her voice. Golden eyes blinked sleepily at her. "You said you were lonely," the cub said in careful practice standard. "I am Cub Ricker. I heard you yesterday." "We came to help," Lena's mind reeled. "Why, oh, you all came here because I mentioned feeling lonely?" Ricker yawned, displaying impressive baby fangs. "The elders say humans are pack creatures but travel alone between stars. This seems inefficient and sad, so we decided to be your pack. For now." Another cub, this one silver-white with darker stripes, raised its head from where it had been using Lena's stomach as a pillow. "It is our duty. Grandmother says humans helped save the colony on Threshold Station. We owe humans comfort." "I don't think your parents know you're here," Lena said, though she couldn't bring herself to move. The warmth, the weight, the sound of their breathing, something in her chest that had been clenched tight for months, finally loosened. "They know," Ricker said matter-of-factly. "Mother said you smelled sad." She approved. Over the following weeks, it became routine. Lena would return from her diplomatic duties, endless meetings about trade agreements and cultural exchange programs to find cubs waiting outside her door. Sometimes 3, sometimes 10, occasionally so many that they had to take turns. They would pile onto her bunk, drape themselves across her lap while she worked, curl around her feet during mealtimes. The adult Corinthians watched with approval, their formerly distant demeanor softening into something almost familial. "We did not understand at first," Elder Saranth explained one evening, her silver muzzle twitching with what might have been amusement. "Humans seem so independent. We thought you preferred isolation. But Cub Ricker has taught us something. Your species carries loneliness like a wound, hidden but deep." Lena sat in the common area, 3 cubs sleeping against her while Ricker groomed her hair with surprising gentleness. "We're social creatures," she admitted. We've had to learn to function alone because space is so vast." Sarinth's tail swished thoughtfully. "This is why you will survive out here, where others have failed. You can bear the unbearable when necessary. But you should not have to bear it needlessly." The mission that was supposed to last 6 months stretched to a year. Lena's reports back to Earth included detailed cultural observations, trade negotiation breakthroughs, and a single line that made her supervisor laugh: "Recommend all future liaisons receive standard-issue Corinthian cub pile." When the transport ship finally arrived to rotate her out, Lena found herself hesitating. The cubs had grown. Ricker now stood as tall as her shoulder, but they still gathered around her quarters the night before her departure. "You will visit?" Ricker asked, his voice deeper now but still holding that earnest quality she'd come to love. "Try to stop me," Lena promised, scratching behind his ears the way she'd learned he liked. "Besides, I heard your clutch sister is joining the diplomatic academy. Someone has to teach her about humans." Rickar's purr rumbled through his chest. "She already knows the most important thing. That humans pretend to not need packs, but they are happiest buried under cubs who care for them." Lena laughed, the sound echoing through the corridor. Several adult Quinthians paused in their duties, ears perking up. They had learned to recognize that particular laugh, the one that meant a human had found their pack. As the cubs settled around her one final time, Lena activated her personal log. Final entry from the Quinthian diplomatic vessel. Mission success beyond all parameters. Cultural barriers broken down. Trade agreements finalized. And humanity learned something important. We're not meant to explore the stars alone. We're meant to find family among them. Rikar's tail thumped against the floor in agreement. Within minutes, the gentle snores of slumbering cubs filled the room, and Lena Arwen, humanity's lonely representative, fell asleep smiling, buried under a pile of friends who had heard her sadness and decided simply to fix it. The Quinthian way.